This is Cadillac Unscripted on 107.9 CDY. It's sponsored every week at this time on this station by our friends at Independent Bank, and we love talking to people who are making a difference in the community. And Katy, Huckle, every year we have made a tradition of having a back-to-school show on our program, and we welcome back to the guest microphone this morning Cap Superintendent Jennifer Brown.
Welcome, Jen.
Thanks so much for having me.
You know, you've got a lot going on, lady. Tell us, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. You know, we've spent a lot of time over the summer preparing for our students to come back, and we're so excited when they do. They bring such great energy and positivity, and it's contagious. So it's why we do what we do. So we're excited to have them back, and we're rocking and rolling this year.
Do you get butterflies every year?
I do.
Around the first day?
Yes, and it's a positive feeling. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes people are like, oh, I'm anxiety, but I am always excited at the beginning of the year. I grew up as a child of educators, love school, love learning, and now leading the school district. I just love to have that transition time in the fall.
Jen, question for you. Last year at this time, we had you on the show, and oh my goodness, you were putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. Tell us where you are a year later.
You know, it's so nice not to be talking about construction and, code violations and making sure we have, fire safety in place. And we're just really talking about teaching and learning. And one of our big focuses last year and really an emphasis this year is belonging. Mm-hmm. So, void is the time that I have to spend at the construction table, and now I'm really excited to be connecting more with staff and students around these really important topics. And belonging is really critical, as we know, building those relationships with the kids. But more, we've spent so much time building relationships with kids. We're really trying to shift that focus to how do the kids feel about their sense of belonging in school, in their social circles, in the community, and we just think there's a lot of power in that. So I'm excited about not talking construction. Super grateful still, of course, for the big investment in our kids and our facilities, but it is a breath of fresh air not to be at that table and worrying about, are we going to be able to open the doors on time? So
is there anything new this year that is a product of the past millage? Is there anything new to report?
Sure. So we had several punch list items that we still had to wrap up over the summer. And of course, like your home, we're never done, right? Mm-hmm. We have, hundreds of thousands of square foot of facilities under roof. So this summer, although not a part of the bond, we did make a commitment and promise to the community that we would be more diligent about capital improvements and maintaining our buildings. So we did a roof replacement at Mackinac Trail Middle School, which was a 2.5-month project, which is done, complete, and successful. And we will continue to have sidewalk replacement and boiler and chiller updates. About to replace a chiller at Mackinac Trail Middle School, the original 30-year-old part. But there are definitely things that are lingering and always going on, but most of the significant big construction disruption is done. So that's nice.
Take me behind the scenes, Jen, because you can't be everywhere all the time. You're busy running the show. So how does that work? Do you have on-site building superintendents and that you meet with regularly? How are you updated on how the facilities are looking?
Every Wednesday.
Okay.
For the last 7 years. Not exaggerating. We had a standing morning meeting that was 2 to 3 hours, which was an update on all things construction, planning, design, change order, all the things that really had to get our okay and oversight. In addition, the day-to-day was managed and supervised by construction management, who are experts in those fields, whether it be engineering, HVAC, roofing, all of the plumbing, all the things. So that is no longer the case. Now I have more of a monthly update, which is really fantastic. And truthfully, we have such an exceptional team at CAPS, from facilities and maintenance to custodial. And then, of course, our incredible instructional staff and support staff. So we're just really blessed and fortunate to have an amazing team. So it's definitely not Jen Brown. It is a cast of hundreds who really get it done every day on the front line.
I smile because she's an athlete, not a little bit of an athlete. You knew that. And so when you were in college and then getting your degree in education and then pursuing a higher degree to be an administrator, all the things that you did you ever think you would know this much about HVAC? This much?
No. Every year it's like a whole new set of learning that I get to embark upon, and I love learning. I don't need to learn any more about fire code and facility management. But
it's just so funny hearing you talk, because she's like, well, the HVAC and this and that.
Oh yeah,
and
I know enough to be dangerous and ask good questions, but that's about the extent of it. Yeah.
Good. So looking back, and then I want to talk more about the 2025, 2026 school year, but looking back at the project and what you did with the football stadium, you know, with your guys that were helping run it and the bricks and all the exciting all the different big reveals. To you, what was the most special about everything that happened with the bond issue passing and everything coming together?
I think like the most special moment, which is ironic, now I can say this hindsight, because there have been incredible, all of the openings of the buildings have been fantastic. But I think the most special moment was literally election night when it passed, because we had failed, right? The first time had failed. And we had an incredible group of people working so hard, volunteering, giving money, and having to go back to the drawing board and really revise and listen and recalibrate with really exceptional people. And when that was successful, we knew what that investment would really equate to. Like, I think that was like just a moment of celebration for the community and kids. Like, so that was probably hindsight, right? Probably a really great moment. And then I will say a secondary one, which was just like, I can't believe we're so far beyond it, but COVID, right? So when we were able to open the doors that fall with kids in person was another like relief, because we just know how important it is. So those are probably two big ones, I would say. Through construction.
Think about it. What a journey. Having one that failed makes you more grateful when it passes.
Absolutely.
And like you say, with the students coming back, and we heard from so many students. We had a COVID show, and we brought on seniors, and I mean, one of them doesn't even like school, and she told us, I really miss school.
Yeah.
So to your point, So 2025, 2026, what's on deck? What's exciting?
So we're of course, we're doing all of our traditional programs, but we're still building CAPS Crew, which we're really proud of, which is that enrichment piece, that belonging piece, trying to connect kids to their passion. And hopefully that leads to a career, which, hard to define careers and what they'll look like in 20 years, but really trying to get kids engaged in the why of learning. So Maddie Huckle manages all our CAPS Crew and CAPS programming after school, and she's doing a fantastic job. Our preschool program, we expanded our 3-year-old program, added a classroom. I really want to get this out. There's free 4-year-old preschool this year universally. You don't have to qualify. It's not income dependent. And that's really important that we fill those spots so we can retain those opportunities for our families in the community. We have 120. We're probably about 80 full right now, so we're making sure that we're getting the word out to families about free preschool. We have robotics and clubs, like crazy clubs in the high school that we're hoping to bring to our students in the next few weeks so they can engage. Our arts department is growing. We added back jazz band. We're very excited about jazz band. So we have a band, orchestra, choir, and now jazz band at the high school, in addition to our visual arts programs as well. So we continue to grow our offerings at the middle school, doing some more industrial arts and opportunities to hook kids earlier to get them engaged for the Career Tech Center, which more than 50% of our kids participate in. So a point of celebration, we had a 94% pass rate in our AP tests. So our accelerated kids are like just killing it right now, 100% pass in pre-calc our first year. So just some real great successes coming into this year that we just really want to build on.
Okay. To people in our audience, our young people who might be thinking about getting into education.
Oh, yeah.
What would you tell somebody?
I would say it's an incredible career. I think it's a career that offers a lot of opportunity. I find great pleasure in connecting with children and youth and seeing the confidence build and the impact you can have and the legacy you can leave through children. Like, you can't go wrong. I always say, give me kids all day. I'll do that. But also, I think it's just a really great career for families. So I'm a mom of 3 kids. I've been able to engage in their education, but also their path to success and be there for them in off hours from school. So I think there's still really incredible family benefits. I feel like we are still working really hard for competitive wages. We've come a long way in the last 5 years. So if anyone is interested in pursuing careers in education, I would ask, reach out and give us a call. We'll give you all of the good, the bad, the ugly. There's so many different paths toward certification now. So many incentives for people to go into education with tuition reimbursement. Like, it's a really incredible field that we need to lift up. Much like other public service positions, I think it's time we lift those back up.
I will throw in a little promotion for Amy Solani at the CTC because she's got an educational careers program that she's training future teachers, and she's got kids that are out in placements at various places all across the area, and I would like to see more kids in that. Speaking as a parapro for the last 12 years, I echo what Jen says. It is such a rewarding career when you make an investment in the kids, because when you make an investment in them, they will in turn make an investment in you, and they'll work harder for you. It's always been my experience. So, yes. Jen, quick question. So you administration is now in a new place. You're back in the school. You were away off campus at a building at the curve there on Mitchell Street for a long time. So I would think, having started in the classroom as you did as a teacher, it must be rewarding and cool to be back amongst the students again.
I love it. So it was a transition. We're still figuring out some of the logistics because we're now with kids. We have to be a little more secure in our space. But I absolutely love it. In the morning, I can walk down to the high school and walk around and check in with the kids. And there's just an energy that comes from being in a school building that we lacked over at Central Office on Mitchell Street. Beautiful space, very appreciative. But I absolutely love being back in a school building. We also have Cadillac Innovation uses the cafeteria there right outside our offices for lunch, so we get to intermix with the kids a lot, and they're super cool kids and have a lot to offer. So it's just been a really great opportunity for us to reconnect. So I really specifically love it. I'm not sure like our business office likes the disruption, but they have grown to appreciate it as well.
Right. It reminds you why you're there,
yes, huh? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, that's great. So we lost an important educational leader a little while back here, Fred Carroll. Can you talk about that and Fred's impact on you?
You know, Fred was the superintendent when I was hired with Sue Westhauser, two phenomenal folks who left quite a legacy in Cadillac area public schools. But I remember when I was hired as superintendent, and he reached out, reached out and said, I'd love to take you out for lunch. And we sat down for lunch, and he really was intimidating for me because, you know, when I was hired, he was the superintendent and I didn't know him very well, but he really was so down to earth and supportive and advocate for kids first and foremost in education, and really then for me as a mentor. So we sat down several times, and he would extend words of encouragement, words of advice, but never in a judgmental way, and just was a real genuine supporter. So he will be dearly missed, and his legacy will certainly live on. But yes, I was really sad to hear that news.
I'm wondering, looking back, and the word I would use to describe Fred would be formidable. And a champion for education, of course, but he recruited me to work on the bond issue that built Mackinac Trail.
Okay. With
Pat Goggin. The two of us ran marketing, and the bond issue had failed 3-1 the prior time. And so I was new to Cadillac. That's how long ago this was. And I remember, I mean, he made me nervous.
Oh, yeah.
He was a man of few words, but you better be listening when Dr. Carroll was talking. And so I wonder, because I know that he saw a future superintendent in Paul Liebenow. I know that. I think he saw a future superintendent of schools in you. Could that be?
I mean, he never told me as much, but I do know in Cadillac there has been a tradition of finding that next person who's invested, right? I think the life of a superintendent is 2.4 years or something in Michigan. But in Cadillac, much like our Board of Education, who, like, you get on the Board of Education, that you stay for 20
Very
plus
stable.
years, right?
Very
like
stable.
Stable, invested,
Yes.
very engaged in community and kids. And I think that's been the tradition in Cadillac with superintendents as well. And I know that it was certainly the case with Paul had, I have a great relationship with Paul Liebenow as well, continued to this day, and Fred, certainly. And then you look at board members like Craig Widener, who was instrumental in some of those types of decisions. And now with Dr. Repka, same thing. So we just have a real incredible commitment to education and kids in this community, and that goes in leadership, but also in our boards of education.
If you were to estimate how many hometown people are the superintendents of their schools, percentage-wise in the state, how many would you say? Would you be 10, 20%, maybe less?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know. That's a great question. I would say low percentages, certainly. I wouldn't know the number.
What would you say the advantage is to being a hometown person and having all that intimate information about all the buildings and the people and the community?
Sure.
Does that help you in your role?
It certainly helps me, I believe, in the way I choose to lead, and in building those relationships with staff. So as much as I love to be with the kids, I know my role is removed from the kids, but I also know to respect those who are in front of our kids. So having that relationship and knowing what that role looked like, and respecting it, I think is really critical to success and building trust and capacity and bringing people along, not without mistake and error, because no one's perfect, but I definitely always try to lift our people up because I know what that looked like and felt like.
You were there.
Yeah, and now I have the treasure of talking to my former students as parents, which makes me feel old, but there's advantages in that. I can say, remember, and they know, I'm a pretty straight shooter. I don't filter a lot, and that can be good and bad, but I think most of the time that's respected. So I can say, hey, I remember you in 8th grade English, and it's great to see you.
I wish everyone could see her smile. I remember your behavior in 8th grade.
Right.
And that's the thing too.
Funny.
Sometimes, a kid at 28 is way different than they were when they were 16 or
Almost
17.
always.
Well, we hope so.
And it's really fun for me to see some of my former students become parents and become adults.
That's right.
And some of them didn't have the greatest family lives.
Right.
And those that are breaking the generational traumas and making good decisions and doing the good things, that's the really rewarding part.
It is. It's great. It's
Yeah.
great to see, and it's great to be able to establish a really quick relationship with some of our parents who sometimes it's good and sometimes it's a struggle, but it's comforting to have a familiar face at the table, I guess. So it's been good.
Well, and what I would say about Jen, and I think this goes for everyone in education in Cadillac, everybody's approachable. Let's do this. Let's fix this. Let's figure this out.
Yes.
I think you've got a reputation as someone who's really positive to work with and resolution driven. We
definitely try. And there's always room for improvement, right? So we always say that we're going to work really hard and we can always do things better. So
speaking of that, if money were no object, now the bond issue is passed and everything's bright and pretty and new and shiny, it smells good. But if money were no object, what would you do? What would you build? What program? What anything?
Yeah, wow, that's a great question. I think I would fortify our buildings with support staff first and foremost. Obviously, we would, if money were no object, we would give really healthy raises and bonuses to all folks in education.
I love it.
I can't say I wouldn't do that. And then I think continuing to build out these enrichment opportunities for our kids, because they're not free. Our teachers work so hard during the day. I'm not going to ask them to extend that because we want them to go home and be with their families. And So finding folks to be able to really provide that enrichment year round would be fantastic. And then because we're in northern Michigan, another thing that you're seeing a lot of districts do is like to have like an indoor multiplex facility for the community. So we don't have a lot of indoor recreational spaces. The WEX, which is great, and we need to support the WEX because it might be one of the only places. So something like that. The Y is fantastic. Maybe it's too small to accommodate like all of the 3,200 kids that we have in schools, but just something like that to hang on to, because I do think we're like a little small town, and a lot of folks which I love, stay in Cadillac and want to be here, and to be able to provide that 4 seasons of indoor and outdoor space would be really cool too. Mm-hmm. But
so you mentioned earlier, you brought up COVID, which on one hand seems like a lifetime ago, and on the other hand seems like yesterday. Yeah. This year's 6th graders will be the ones who had their, am I right? If I'm doing the math right, will be the ones that had their school year cut off in March of 2020.
Okay.
What are the lingering effects that you see from COVID?
Yeah, I think we are definitely seeing a generation of anxious kids, right? And I'm not saying they have anxiety. Some do, some don't. But I think there is this tendency to ride a little higher in their emotion, in their response. I don't think it's just COVID. I think it's it's very complex. I think it's a world we live in. I see adults riding that way too. A lot of anger out in the world, a lot of, time on screens. We're doing a book study, The Anxious Generation. So I think that's going to be phenomenal for parents to understand what that impact might be. Social media, like a lot of different things, COVID, poverty, trauma, all the things. So I think that is probably the lingering result of COVID and other things, is that kids are anxious or worried. They're constantly like going.
And they're bombarded with negativity, and
yes.
you have to be able to compartmentalize that.
Yeah, and they're not built that way.
They're not yet.
Developmentally.
The brain isn't ready for that yet.
Really hard time navigating that as a generation, and it has had some real negative consequences, and they're not equipped for it. They're not built for it. We're trying to work and educating them, understanding, having more self-awareness about why they're feeling what they're feeling. But that's probably the lingering challenge we're facing.
Would you call that the biggest difference between being a superintendent in 2025-26 as opposed to the year that you started?
Yes. So I would say, and building strategies and supports in school settings and beyond to help kids through that. Because I've never met anybody who wants to be dysregulated or to feel anxious. Nobody wants that. So making sure that we're looking for those signs, supporting kids through that, building social emotional capacity and resilience in our kids, and then in turn our parents, because like they go home and they are still challenged with some of those things. And as a parent, I was not prepared to support my kids through these last 5 years. So reading a lot and trying to do the best we can as parents as well.
What would you tell our parents? Let's say we've got, kids in elementary school.
Yeah.
And let's say, parents are, okay, well, I want to get this right. Because again, things that we weren't exposed to growing up.
Sure.
So, they weren't temptations to us, the gaming and the social media and the Facebook, all the different things that happen. What would you tell parents about regulating that, managing that?
Sure. Well, one, I'm not an expert.
Okay.
So I will just...
You seem like an expert.
Mom mode, what I would do different if I could redo my own experience as a mom and trying to do the best I can. But it is hard. First of all, parenting, hardest thing there is.
Amen.
You know what? It's true. Everything else in life except marriage and parenting got easier.
Yeah.
Thanks to technology.
Yes.
These things, technology can't help.
Yeah.
So true.
So I would say with children in elementary school, first, foremost, they will learn more from what you do than what you say. So you have to model what you want, and that's hard. Like, so I have to be off my phone if I want my children off their phones. That's hard, because I think it is definitely a habit we've all picked up through the last few years. So I would say to parents, do not provide a smartphone to your child as long as you can hold off. And I would say at the very earliest, I would say 8th grade. 8th grade. And then even then, no social media on that phone. So if you have to have a phone, don't get a smartphone. Like, don't even, so it's not an option, because it's going to be a battle, whether you think it'll be a battle or not. Don't choose that battle. Like, don't let it be a battle to have to choose. So if you have to have a phone, don't do a smartphone. If you have a smartphone, no social media. I would say research is saying youngest 16, and even then, like, with a lot of adult supervision and conversation. And that's what the research says. That's not me, but that's really, and we're doing that book study. Anybody who wants to join us September 4th in the auditorium, we're talking about the anxious generation. It's a phenomenal book, research-based, and how do we meet kids developmentally where they are and what they need for their brain to develop appropriately.
Going back to the phones thing, there have been some school systems, some school districts in Michigan that have taken a very hard line on cell phones in the classroom. Where does CAP stand on that?
K-8, no cell phones in the classroom.
Okay.
High school, we are making a shift this year to no cell phones in the classroom unless a teacher has an explicit reason why they can be out. So it's really teacher discretion, but we're trying to say no phones in the classroom. They can have it between classes and at lunch. Ideally, there's no phones bell to bell, but we know that's a challenge, and we're trying to give our students also voice and say and part of that identity and belonging. So our compromise right now is no phones in classrooms unless a teacher says it's okay.
Okay.
And so hopefully the teachers aren't finding it okay most of the time.
And
because they don't want the distraction either.
I am absolutely certain that every teacher looks at a kid on a phone as a deterrent to teaching.
Yeah.
Well, and employers also.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, it's not just the students that are having issues with phone addictions.
And if you can nip that and teach a 16, 15-year-old that they don't have to have it on their person all the time, then they'll feel that way as an adult too.
Right. Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm so excited, real quick, to hear about all these new opportunities, like you said, all the clubs and that sense of belonging. Because when we look back at high school and all the memories, the homecoming games and the floats and the parades. I mean, Cadillac does homecoming like nobody else. It's just a wonderful time of the year, and it's a community homecoming too. But I'm just so tickled, Jen, to hear about all the opportunities for everybody to belong.
Yeah. And I do think it's our challenge is getting kids to engage in them, because they, on the phone, I don't know if you guys have seen this in your own children, but they don't necessarily get together like they used to.
Oh, it's true. Absolutely true.
They can do it through their device or game, whatever. So we're really trying to get kids to, because they're losing social skills. For sure they're losing social skills that are going to be really important. So, we're going to continue to build and try to get kids to engage, and we're excited about it. Yeah.
Social skills and soft skills are things that really need to be emphasized more in the classroom. There are kids who absolutely are scared of talking on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
They've texted their whole lives, so actually physically picking up the phone, not dialing a number, that's a 55-year-old talking here, but you know what I mean. It is a source of anxiety for them to actually carry on a conversation on a telephone, and that is something they need to learn.
That's real. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I have a friend who's an HR director in Minneapolis, and so she's very aware of generational voids and gaps and things that we need to work on. And I have another friend who's a huge executive, and she said, I don't know what to do with these millennials. They just made a complaint at the company that we were missing s'more Pop-Tarts in the lunchroom, because they have a free lunchroom. But we had 4 other kinds, but the s'more Pop-Tarts were gone. And it was so interesting because back came, went to college with all these girls. Back came Marie, the HR director, and she said, think of yourself as a DJ at a wedding. you want everybody to dance. You want your 70-year-olds to dance, and you want your 27-year-olds to dance.
Yeah.
And so how are you going to get everybody? And I think that's the challenge. And I'm so glad to hear, like you said, a fact-based, data-based, research-based study. Facts are friendly. And how can we learn from them? Because clearly there's a lot we don't understand.
Yes,
So.
certainly.
All right, what are you most excited about for 2025-26? Then we'll wrap it up.
Well, we have a ton of events. Just homecoming, like you mentioned. We have KISS, the 50th anniversary of KISS, coming back to Cadillac. We have Salute to Service, Dig Pink. We have so many fall-only events, and then we'll roll those calendars out. But just finding ways to bring the community into our buildings and engage with our kids so that we can share in that responsibility of success and then celebrate it together. So really excited about that.
She's the best.
Very, very glad we have an appointment for late August of 2026 to talk about next year, if you're willing.
I'm totally willing and appreciate the opportunity.
CAP Superintendent Jennifer Brown, our guest on Cadillac Unscripted on 107.9 CDY, sponsored by Independent Bank. Join us next week, same time, same station, for some more local chat here on 107.9 CDY.